All right, so we are recording. So Tech Tuesday is a monthly, the first Tuesday of the month, we offer a quick 1-hour webinar. It's free to members and non-members, and so you can stop in and learn something new. And this month we are learning about Diigo. And Diigo is one of my favorite resources that I've been using now for quite a while, probably thanks to Joan Upel, my former colleague at the State Library. She got me hooked. So what we're going to talk about today is Diigo, some examples of using Diigo, your Diigo account, and finally we'll wrap up with any questions and some activities you can do if you'd like to learn more about Diigo. So as we get going, I gave you guys, everybody has the link to all the resources for today's session. And if I can get to them, here we go. Oh, I'm not sharing with you guys. I'm talking to myself and not sharing. Sorry. I'll share. And one of the things that I shared with you was a Diigo Outliner. And that is one of the tools that I use a lot. I use it for a lot of my sessions and everything because it is a great way to organize my information. So we're going to go through getting started with Diigo. I've given you guys a number of links on how-to guides for using Diigo. The couple things I do wanted to point out as we get started is you'll want to create the Educator account. And so what you do, and we're going to look at this plans and pricing from Diigo, you'll want to sign up for the free account if you don't have one already. So just go in and create an account and get the free account. And then once you've created your account, you can apply for the Educator account. And that's going to give you opportunities and access to features that you don't have with the free account, in addition to some Educator features that just make it so much more useful for classroom use or Educator use. For example, you can create email accounts for your, or not email accounts, you can create Diigo accounts for your classes and use those in your groups that we'll look at here in a little bit. There's some other features. If you go through and compare the opportunities of what you can do, you'll see the teacher account has a lot of the premium features that you get for free. And one of the things that I like the outliners, and you can get 5 free outliners on the free plan, or you can get 20 with the teacher plan. And so I actually have a teacher plan now because I use the outliners a lot when I'm teaching classes. And so I wanted to make sure that I have that. The collaborative research is something that we're going to be talking about today. And with the teacher, you get more groups. And so that's a big deal right there. And so you have a lot of options with the teacher plan. So if you haven't created an account, I recommend creating the free account and then going in and doing the Educator option. And you can do that under the plans and pricing. And if you look at the Educator and you don't have that account, it'll give you the link to apply for it. If you do have a free account already, just go in and apply for the free Educator account. If you have a K-12 email address, it's a lot easier to get your account because they just automatically approve the K-12 accounts. But if you don't have a K-12 email address, you can give an explanation of what you do, and they're pretty good about approving other accounts too, because not all of our schools have K-12 accounts. So this is a nice way to get your teacher account. So what exactly is Diigo? Let's go ahead and go into my Diigo account and we will start looking around. So we are using, this is my professional Diigo account that I created mainly because it's, I've had a other Diigo account for years, and I ran out of outliners. This was before I knew about the Educator option. And so I created another account, and while I was doing that, that's when I learned about the Educator option. And I'm like, oh, everybody should know about the Educator option. So I have two accounts now, and I'm perfectly content with that because I use one for more of my personal bookmarks and the other one for my professional bookmarks. Diigo is essentially social bookmarking. I use it predominantly to keep track of all of the things that I find on the internet and think, oh, I want to look at this later, or this would be great for a presentation, or oh my gosh, I will be using this in a couple weeks, and so I don't want to forget where I saw it. Why don't I just save bookmarks on my browser? Because I use a lot of different computers and I use a lot of different browsers. With the advances in Chrome, it's not as big of a deal because when you're logged into Chrome, you can access your bookmarks pretty much anywhere, but you don't always have access to Chrome. And if you don't have access to Chrome, then you don't have access to your bookmarks. Whereas you can log into your Diigo account virtually anywhere. I have Diigo loaded on my iPad. I have Diigo loaded on my smartphone. I can log into Diigo on my smartphone. And so anywhere I'm at, I can access my Diigo bookmarks. So that's a good feature. So it gives you that portability. It also gives you the collaboration. When we're in Diigo, I'm looking at my library right now, but I can actually go out and at the top of the page, go on to Discover, and I can discover in community or network. I can join groups or networks of educators or other people with similar interests. This is not something that I've spent a lot of time doing. I have other PLN resources that I use, like Twitter, and so I don't use Diigo as a discovery tool as much as I use it for keeping track of my bookmarks. So we're going to pop back to my library here. One of the other things in Diigo is the tagging. As you're going through and you kind of look, and I've done a number of tags, adding things for upcoming trainings and today's training. You have the ability to add tags, and I have a hard time remembering what tag I use, and so I can always go back and view my tag cloud and see, oh, I used Diigo, or I used regional meetings for this upcoming training. And so I can see what tags I've used. I can also go back and edit, and so that I can update my tags if I want to. But what's nice about this is I can go in and I can look at all of the stuff that I've tagged with Diigo, and it's going to bring up all of my Diigo tags. And so I've been gathering Diigo resources for a while, and today I went through and I was able to pull together all the Diigo stuff and look at it and say, yep, this one I want to share in my outliner, this one I don't, and it was that easy. The other nice thing is I found as I was working through this, I think the second one here is also got some SAMR resources in it that I thought, oh, that'll be nice for another training that I do. So I tagged it with SAMR. So unlike in my Chrome, which I try to organize those bookmarks, you have to decide where you're going to put them, which folder you want to put that bookmark in. Here, I can add as many tags as I want, and I don't have to, there's no limits. So I could say SAMR, I could say this might be something I wanted to use with an iPad training, I could say iPad, I could add another, any number of tags to it to help me find it again when I am looking for more content. So how do we go about tagging content? I do recommend, and so we're going to go back to my outliners again. So that was my library. Here's my outliners. And this is the resource that I probably use the most outside of the bookmarks. The outliners I use frequently to put together my outlines for presentations. In the K-12 environment, you can use it, students can use this to pull together their research, create an outline, they can copy and paste it into their PowerPoint, and then they would be able to have an outline to start with in their PowerPoint. You can, in the outliners, you have the ability to indent, and so I can neatly tidy everything up here. And I do have a really great outliner I wanted to share with you guys. This is Credible Websites for Creating Infographics, and it's a Colorado group that's putting together some STEM infographics for STEM literacy, and they have these these websites that you can use to get statistics for infographics. All of these topics, so they've gone through and reviewed, and they have all of these topics, and they've used this outliner, and it's a publicly shared outliner, and so anybody could link to it. And so they have all these great resources for infographics here. And you do have a link on the outliner for the class. That you can use that takes you to all of the STEM outliner. Of course, I can't find it on my outliner now. You guys, I'm losing my mind. I'll find it here. But I did share that with you because it was a great outliner, and the people that have organized this is been really, really good. So the other thing there is so we have our outliner, and I can add content to it if I want very easily from my list of bookmarks. I can do it here by dragging and dropping them over, or from my library I can just send them to this outliner. So that's a really great feature right there. So one of the other things so I'm going to go back to my home here, is groups. Students can also use groups for collaborative work, and this is where the teacher plan is huge, because I've created a number of groups. I created a group here for Tech Tuesday, just a sample group for today, and so I can add members to it, and I can also create students. I can create accounts for my students that do not require an email address. So what I wanted to show you is one of the new things is in the groups you can actually have videos in here. So I could share just this group with my students as here's a collection of resources that I want you to look at for this, this assignment, and the videos are already embedded. Or if I wanted the students to actually create, and add accounts or add bookmarks, I can create accounts for the students and add them to the group. And it is so simple. They do take into account student safety. You do not need an email address for creating the accounts. You just need to enter the names. And so I can, they do recommend for higher ed that you allow students to create their own accounts. You can either enter all your names, or you can import a CSV file. So if you already have your class in you can upload a CSV file, and they give you a sample file that you can use. So I'm going to create a sample one here. It gives me the option to, I can disable their personal profile so that the students can't update any of their personal information, which is required for students under 13, or I can allow students to fill that out. I can change the password, so if I want to have all of the class have the same password, I could change it to that so that they have that option. And notice here that email is optional. So I can say, okay, create account. And the student was added to my Tech Tuesday group. And now I can go back and I can see in my Tech Tuesday, if I go to my group settings again, I can see in my members that I have myself, and then I have a number of student accounts that I've created here. And they're just users, and they haven't done anything yet. I also have the ability to go up to my tools Salad. I want my teacher console, sorry. So if I go to myself, go to my picture and go to my teacher console, I can now manage my groups. And so notice that I have all of my groups here. And so for like the Tech Tuesday group, I can add members. If I do that, it gives me the option to create student accounts, add existing students. And so if I've already created a group, I can now add existing students from another group to this new group. Or I can invite students to this group by email if I want to. So that's a nice feature right there. I can manage members of this group. If I want to remove somebody, I can remove them. I can do other features there too. So you have options here within your group. The other thing within this group that's really nice is I can export this group if I wanted to. And so when I was all done, I could export all the bookmarks into an Excel file so that I have them to use in another project or to use as documentation for the project. So that's the groups that allow for student collaboration. And what's great about it is you don't need email addresses to do it. So as long as you, the teacher, have the educator account, you can go ahead and create a group and create accounts for all your students that don't require an email address. So let's go and look at some of the other fun things that we can do with Diigo. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go in and look at all of my Diigo bookmarks. And I kind of went crazy on this one page today. You notice on step 6 here, using curation tools as part of your PLN. And I do recommend going and reading this one. This website, I went in and I was able to edit it. I was able to highlight content that I wanted, and the highlighted content shows up over here in my Diigo bookmark. And so I have all of my notes here. So just think about if I wanted to keep track of my notes, and I highlighted them in 2 different colors. I have them in yellow and blue. And then I also took a little screenshot here. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to show you how we did that. So I'm going to go back to that website. And I think you can see, yep, in the upper right-hand corner, I have the Diigo bookmark tool. And that is something that when you set up your Diigo account, it tells you how to do that. And because it has a little red tab there, that tells me that I've already bookmarked this, this site. But I want to edit this one. And so I can actually go in and I could add a description if I wanted to here. I can add it to an outliner. I can share it with a group. And then I also have the ability to annotate. And when you click on annotate, notice all of the stuff that I had highlighted earlier shows back up again. And so everything that I had annotated earlier shows up here. I also can add a sticky note if I want to. And the sticky note will show up in my on my list of bookmarks. And it will also, I could also share it to the group if I wanted to. I can change it. And so that it can be, I can share it to a group if I'd like to. And so if I wanted to send this to the Tech Tuesday group, I could do so, and I could share a note to the Tech Tuesday group. I can also take a screenshot, and I did that in earlier on this. And so if I'd like to grab a screenshot of this so that it shows up, I can do that. I just select some of the screen, click Save. I can also annotate it if I wanted to add some text. I can do that. And so now I have and it can tag it as a standalone item, or I can attach it to the URL. And so if I tag it as a standalone item, it'll be saved in my bookmarks as its own item, or if I save it as the page to the URL, it'll save it with the URL that I have saved it as. So now let's go back to my Diigo bookmarks. And you can see we played around over here quite a bit, and the one that I just added, I didn't add any tags to it, and so it shows up at the very top. That's the other nice thing about Diigo, is it adds your new content to the very top. And so when you're using this resource, your new stuff is always going to be at the top, and the older stuff will be at the bottom. Since there's no limits, you can't run out of bookmark space, essentially. You don't really need to worry about going in and weeding out your Diigo, because the most recent stuff is going to be at the top. You can always go back and search and see what you can find. And if I do find a link that's broken, I will delete it, just because why keep it there? But I don't worry about going in and making sure that everything is working. It's because it's more of a reference for myself. So this one here was the image, and so when I click on that, it just brings up that screenshot. The next one is the website that we were playing with, and it brings up, and when I click on the Diigo tool and click on annotate, it brings up all the annotations that I had made earlier. Notice that all the annotations that I had made are also in my Diigo entry here. And you can see right after the name, there's the little 6. That means there's 6 different annotations, and I can minimize that if I don't want to see all of that while I'm browsing through, if I just want to see a list of content. So that's a nice feature to have within the Diigo resources. So let's go back to. So those are so that's some of the features when keeping track. Let's go back to the outliners real quick and look at the research outliner again. I wanted to talk to you guys about the Cool Cat teacher has an amazing tutorial on using Diigo, and she's done a great job of inserting not only little videos but key points and takeaways. And so for each section, you have a really short video. She's recorded herself, and then it looks like she's probably cut them up into little snippets. And so you've got short videos on each point. And as you go through, you can answer the questions, you can get the synopsis of what you should know. And so this is definitely, if you want to share using Diigo with your students, with your colleagues, this is a great one to send out there, because it's really nicely done. Free Technology for Teacher, Richard Byrne, has covered Diigo a number of times. He does a lot on the teacher accounts also, and so but his is a little bit older post. And Diigo has evolved over the years, and so if you look at some of the older posts, you'll see that they talk about lists. Well, outliners replace lists, and so lists don't exist anymore. So it's just one of those features that you just kind of roll with. Here's another tutorial that you can go through if you're interested in learning more about Diigo. That was a good one. These video tutorials, it's a nice 3-part series on using Diigo with your students. And then Free Technology for Teachers, again, he gave us 3 good ways students can use Diigo, and he talks about annotated lists. So as students are going through, instead of printing out a ton of paper, they can save the bookmark, they can annotate the bookmark, and there you have, and they could send it over to an outliner, and there you have their assignment right there. This William Wolf has created a nice essay on teaching students how to create meaningful tags. And just because Diigo thrives on the tags and, helping, you can find your content better. I included this because it's a nice resource for that. The Diigo in your PLN, the Diigo is considered to be one of the curation tools, and we looked at this a little bit already, but I wanted to show you, they have on this one a number of examples of Diigo users that have how they use Diigo. Vicki Davis is the Cool Cat teacher, and so she's the one who gave us that tutorial on using Diigo that would be great for either teachers or students. So this is how she uses Diigo, and you notice that she uses it on Twitter. She kind of gives little synopsises here. I really liked John Pierce's. He does a really good job of giving he goes in and does a really nice job of giving a little annotation for each one. And so his is a great example if you want to show off how you could use this with annotations and the highlighting the and that would also be a nice example to share with staff for the PLNs. I also, using Diigo is much easier if you have the extensions. The Chrome extension is probably the easiest one to use, but they also have a Firefox extension, and they also have an Explorer extension. And so definitely, if you're, depending on your browser, add the extension because it makes it so much easier to use. And then finally, there are continuing education opportunities around Diigo. If you're interested in learning more, Ty offers a self-paced workshop on Symbaloo and Diigo that you can take for 1 graduate credit. For Ty members, it's a free workshop, and for non-members, it's $75. And you can get credit from University of Sioux Falls for $40. And so this is a nice way if you wanted to learn more about Diigo or just force yourself to get started using it, you could take the online class. We have Tech Tuesday workshops the first Tuesday of every month. The next in February, we have augmented reality, so that should be fairly interesting. And then finally, the Diigo blog itself. I do follow the Diigo blog just because they post what's new, what's cool, what they're doing. And this is also where they posted the Cool Cat teacher's great tutorial on the outliner. So it's always nice to follow the Diigo guys. And then I do want to show you that one website that I apparently didn't add. So we'll practice adding something to our Diigo outliner. So let's see. Trying to remember what I did with it. Here it is. It's this science infographics, STEM literacy through infographics, and it is a grant that they're working on. All of this content on this entire website is Creative Commons licensed so that you can actually go back and reuse it. And what I was really impressed with this is they also go through and do a really nice job of explaining Diigo. However, it is really geared towards this grant, and so it talks about how to get access to using this, using the resources for this grant. But when you go in, it does explain how to create the student accounts. It talks about how to use the Diigo Lets. And so it is a nice little tutorial. And this is also where I got that great outliner list for the infographics. And so I'll make sure those are added. So to add that, I can click on the URL on the checkbox beside the URL, and then at the top of the page I can add it to an outliner. So I'm going to quickly add it to my Research, Share, and Collaborate outliner. And it usually tells me it's been added. I don't know. Just for you guys today, it isn't going to tell me that. So hopefully it got added. We'll have to pop over and look. And normally what happens is they add to the very bottom of the outliner, and it didn't add it. So who knows? It's because I'm modeling it for you guys that it doesn't add it, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the way
Maybe
it
the way it goes.
So, this is why it doesn't work. No, I think it's just I will add it when I'm done today. But usually, and I was doing this earlier, I probably used all of my adding, and it does a nice job of telling you that it added it to the outliner and at the top of the page. So, usually you can do that. All right. So, that's Diigo in a nutshell. I told you I'd talk fast today, Jane. Do you guys have any questions about anything that we talked about today?
Probably have some after we get going here. After I mess around with it.
Well,
You're
I
close.
recommend that you take the I class, and then it'll force you to go through it. And I did link the Thai class on the outliner so that you can actually go in and register for it if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really good. I love the outliner, and I didn't know how you were doing that, you know, that you've sent us each time with your Tech Tuesdays.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just so nice the way the links come up, and this is great. And I'll have to try to get an Educator account. I didn't know there was a difference.
It makes a difference just because like the outliners, the number of outliners increases significantly.
Mhm.
And with the outliners, a couple other quick tools with the outliners. If you look at the top of the page, you have, if I click on the add Diigo item, it brings up all of the items that I have hyperlinked over here. And that could be another way that I add if I wanted to. Whoops, I didn't spell it right. And notice it's got the little check marks beside everything that I've added to this, and so that's kind of nice. I'm still not seeing what I want to see. There it is. Oh, it says it's here. I'll have to figure out which one it is. I can show all of my outliners. I can search, and then there's two different views. There's view mode, and that's what you guys see when you're not logged in, when it's not your own outliner. When it's your outliner and you're editing it, you have edit mode. You have that option, and you can go in and it looks a little different. When you mouse, it is not Word, and so I always think, oh, it'd be nice if I could do this, or it'd be nice if I could do that, but it's not Word, and so you just kind of have to go with what it can do. You can add a note, and that'll add the cursor right below where you said you wanted to add the note, and this is an example of adding the note. I can also, if I want to, I can duplicate, I can export, or I can delete the resource. I can bold it if I want to, so I do have that feature. And then for all of these that are under this heading that I've created here, those are just indented in, and so I can drag them out if I want to, and so I can move them around just by dragging them around. So that's kind of nice. It's just getting used to dragging them around. So for creating the headings here, all I did is I went down and I put the cursor in front of one of the titles, hit enter, and it gives me an empty bullet. And now I've created a heading, and so I don't have to necessarily I can type freely if I want to. And then I can tab, I can just click in front of my Diigo, in front of the URL, and I can tab it in. And so now I've created another little subheading there. So that is kind of nice. So the other options you have are, you do have an undo. And then you have the cute little link, the share this outliner, and that's going to give you a secret link that you can copy and paste and share out. You could also deactivate the sharing link, but I always think I've shared this. I don't know why I'd want to deactivate it, but you never know. You can export this content. All it does is it gives it to you that you can copy it. So this would, you don't get the links necessarily. It doesn't go into your, so it's not the same, but it is nice to be able to copy and paste it out if you want to. So that's some of the navigation there. So anyways, any other questions for me today? Any other?
I see this being very, very useful.
I
Cool.
do too. I need to spend some time in it.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Julie.
You
Thank
bet.
so much.
Well,
Appreciate the tips.
have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys next meeting.
All right.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.